I get to my first duty station. I check in. I'm in 29 Palms. And I get my first duty in that big check. So I take this money, it's over 3 grand. I put it in my pocket and I grab my homeboy and we just go on the bus and go to LA because, I hadn't gone home where we from. I use a bandana to wipe the sweat off my head. It's hot as Hades in LA that day. And we are at 7 and Broadway, downtown LA. Never forget this. And these 12 knuckleheads roll up on me. What's your set, cuz? What's your set? Little nigga, you better get out of my face. Bull. You know what I mean? Kid had to be no more than 16. He comes out this paper bag with this 357 Python, 6-inch barrel, ventilated rear. I was like, yo, oh snap, that's that new Python. I'm like, yo, let me check that out. Instead of being intimidated by the gun, I psyched him out and I reached for the gun. And he looked at me like, nah, cuz, nah. Ain't like that. What's your set? I said, what's my what? I said, man, I'm Marine Corps. That's my set. What's your set? He said, Compton's Kyrie. Yep. I said, oh man, your homeboy was in boot camp with me. I said, you know Noah? He said, you know Loco? I said, yeah, that's my boy. I said, we get down. He said, all right, cuz, I'm going to give you a pass. But I had to get in them fool's head because I didn't know where he was going. So I said, yo, that's fat, man. Where you get that at? Let me see it, bro. Let me see it. So I'm constantly reaching for my man's piece. And my man is like tripping. Like, yo, this man ain't scared. What's up with him? You know what I mean? So I get in his head and I said, besides, man, I don't even understand this. We fighting for a piece of ground. What's up with that, man? So I started talking that Black Power, Black Pride stuff. Other kid, probably 14, he's smoking a sherm stick. That's the joint that they used to dip in the formaldehyde. So some places they call it love boat, some places they got all these different names, but boy is zooted. The shit is still dripping wet and his eyes are fire engine red. You feel me? So I'm talking, and I'm like, these little dudes, they on this stuff. So, I start talking all this stuff, and I'm like, yo, Martin Malcolm, yeah. Start talking about the Black Panthers and carrying on, and I start talking about Huey Newton and what's out. And this one say that, and this one say that. I said, no matter where you come from, it seems like we all got beat with each other, and this ain't nothing happening, but we dying and they're prospering. And my man looked at me like, is this fool ever gonna shut up? And he kept saying, all right, cuz. I'm like, for real though, I want to check out that piece, man. So finally he just took the gun and he put it back in his waistband. Once he put it back in his waistband, I knew I was safe. My boy had faded up against the wall like he was ready to jet, you know what I mean? So I'm talking. And my man's like, yo, all right, cuz, I'm gonna give you a pass, man, but you can't be out here slipping. And he stumped on the rag. I said, man, it don't mean shit to me. I'll wipe my hand on my sleeve, you know what I mean? I just use it to wipe my face. He said, all right, cuz, all right. I said, yo, when you see Noah, tell him I said hello. He said, all right, cuz. He said, come on, let's bounce, cuz, let's bounce. So, moral of the story, I'm careful about colors. I'm careful about wording. I'm careful about how I behave. I always got my street face on when I'm in the street. But by the same token, I'm always looking for that little fool that I call them the walking dead. They're already dead. They just don't have the courage to pull the trigger on themselves. So they're looking for suicide by cop or getting zapped by another gang. You understand what I'm saying? So with that, it's about 2 past the half. I want to say, what's up, people? How y'all doing? It's what? It's Thirsty Thursday? Oh no, I got knowledge to quench your thirst. So sit yourself down, take a seat. All you got to do is listen to me. With that, so much has been going on. Like I said in my little advertisement, one of, hey, thank you guys. Some of you have been with me for the last 3.5. Some of you have been with me for the last year or so, but whatever the length of time that you've been supporting me, supporting my show, I want to say it from the bottom of my heart. Much love, much love. I also want to say I hope your holidays were great. Looking at my timeline, looked like most of my Facebook family had a fabulous Christmas. I hope you're not just living Facebook fabulous, but whatever the case may be, all jokes aside, I hope you had a fantastic holiday season. And as we move into this new year, from the bottom of my heart, I wish you nothing but joy, prosperity, and peace. You feel me? Peace. Two to the sky, two to the sky. With that, I'm going to say good evening. Welcome to the show. I'm running behind. I've been watching this nonsense. We're going into this new Congress. I don't think it has a number yet because they certainly don't have a Speaker of the House. And I'm looking at what's happening, and I'll just come out and tell you the title of my show tonight is called Karma. It is what it is. So what we're seeing unfold is the epitome of all of this nonsense that has taken place, with the Christian cinema and the Joe Manchin. What they did is they set a new precedent for how to behave in this new century, in this new decade of this century. You understand what I'm saying? Even bigger than that, I always try to give you a little historic perspective. It was 1973 since we've seen something like this, but it's been over 100 years, 1898, I believe it was. Don't quote me on that. I had it in my head, but I've just been doing so much. They had 133 votes that lasted over almost a 3-month period before a Speaker of the House was named. So I said I was trying to get away from all of the political nonsense, the maneuvering and what have you. But as things unfold, it becomes what I call current events. So I can't help but speak on it. And who better to speak on it but your man? I ain't gonna sit here and talk about my credentials, but I will say I ain't new to this. I'm true to this. So with that, come on in, take your seat. I hope you're thirsting for a little knowledge. I'm gonna kick some knowledge away. You understand? And at the end of this half hour or so, hopefully you'll know a little something and we'll be a little closer as one. Each one, reach one, so each one. I want to start off my show the way I usually start off my show by saying, first of all, good evening, welcome to the show. I always say this. I said this every show, and I'm going to say it tonight. I am truly, truly, truly humbled that other things that you could be doing tonight, you choose to be here, getting a little knowledge and kicking some, shopping it with me. That means the world to me. So I'm truly humble. I'm truly humble. My name is Hank Batiste. My show is called OMITdaLOGIC. This shit makes no sense. The voices in my head tonight are giggling and laughing, and that's possible because the Republicans and Kevin McCarthy is seeing what it felt like to be Joe Biden over the month. We had all of this inability to manage, inability to govern, inability to just get along. And on this last vote that I watched, they have a contingency of the Republican Party called the Never Kevin. They say they will never vote for Kevin McCarthy. And but in the back of my mind, I'm like, so what's their plan B? They were floating the name Steve Scalise, who On one hand, he's a little bit more middle. Um, but on this last 11 vote, Matt Gates, what he needs to get is arrested. The little child pedophile is still in Congress, and he's been one of the most boisterous mouths talking about McCarthy and never voting for McCarthy. And just before every vote, somebody gets up and they nominate the person who they think should be speaker. The first person got up, nominated Kevin McCarthy. And he went on and on and on and on how Kevin McCarthy and we have an agenda to turn back everything that Biden did, which is why I was so hard on Pelosi. Because if we get a consensus within that party, all the advancements that were made in the last 2 years can be erased. And the only thing that stands majority in the Senate. But as I told you before, two things. The first thing that happened in the Senate was Manchin became a wild card. With that, Sinema followed suit. And now what we're seeing is the Republicans follow suit in doing what Sinema and Manchin did for the last 24 months. But they're doing it to get supposedly who they want as the Speaker of the House. What didn't surprise me, but I thought we had gotten past this, because on one hand, Trump came out to support McCarthy. 10 times McCarthy lost the vote. He didn't have enough votes of a majority. As a matter of fact, the person that had the most votes with every one of the 12 votes was Hakeem Jeffries, the Democrat, who's now the minority leader of the Democrats in the House of Representatives. Why is that important? Because if they, at some point, think about, instead of getting the majority, whoever has the most votes, there's a chance that Jeffries could be the Republican Congress. That's really going to be so. The thing that made me take pause was in this 11 election. Prior to this 11 vote, the person that Matt Gaetz nominated was none other than despicable, delusional Donald Trump. So what you have is a desperation ploy by two men. Matt Gaetz is desperate because he's been asking for a pardon, a preemptive pardon, because he's looking at any day being prosecuted or arrested for child pornography, for trafficking of minors and sex trafficking. So why is he still in Congress? Why is he been with Trump all this time? Which brings me to the second desperation ploy. Trump, just like Gates, stands to fall under prosecution. The reason they've been holding back and holding back and holding back on Trump is given enough of these so-called extremists I call them domestic terrorists, a chance to get past Trump. The less there are of them, the extremists are willing to risk life and limb to stop the vote by storming a Capitol in an attempted coup. The less of them there is, the more power, and this makes no sense. They've been afraid to act. Garrett has been, Garland, Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, the U.S. Attorney General, has been afraid to pull a trigger and arrest Trump. So we're getting all of these smaller courts, the state of New York and the state of Georgia and what have you, who are going after Trump, whose only end game is to stop him from being a viable candidate moving forward. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Stay tuned. I'm going to watch what's going on, and I'll keep you informed. On the flip side of that, let's get past the political stuff. The thing that's getting me now is, and I'm sure just like me, you guys have called someone, a company, be it Amazon, be it Spectrum, be it Xfinity, and some of these other companies, PayPal. And instead of getting someone named Barbara or Shaniqua or Becky or Karen, what we're getting is someone in Sri Lanka. We're getting someone in Guadalajara. We're getting someone in the Philippines. We're getting someone in New Delhi or Mumbai. And I have an American company who's taking Americans' money. Then the people that should be handling our customer service should in fact be American. Instead, what we're seeing is all of these foreigners who actually, all of these quote unquote qualifying companies, and I refuse to answer these questions because you either have that information in front of you or you were not given that information for a reason. By forming out or outsourcing customer service of American companies to personnel that are not Americans or working someplace other than this, it does two things. A, customer service goes down. More importantly, and these are the two major things. There's several things, but I won't go into it. But more importantly, the second thing is you're giving these people all of this information, which gives them enough information to a credit profile in your name. This increases the likelihood of having your identity stolen at worst, or they mess up your credit. How do I know? I had a situation with one of these foreign companies where I paid for something using PayPal. To that service 2 months in advance. As we came upon the expiration of that service, I called again to make sure that the service would be canceled. I kept a copy of the email. They said that they were having problems with the computer system, and the computer system was down. But if I had did this and if I had did that, then everything was okay. Lo and behold, 1 week after the service was supposed to be canceled, they charged my credit card. Not nice about it. because I told them the same thing I'm telling you. I said, I have proof that I canceled this service. The lady says, okay. I says, there are two things that I want to do. Make sure that I receive my money back. And second of all, I want to close my PayPal account. Well, why are you doing that? I said, because if I have to deal with someone that's not here in a country and we are having this communication problem, and I know it sounds racist, it's not hateful. Well, Barbara or Karen, if you give me bad service, I'm going to get in your behind as well. But this is met with a new sense of disinterest, simply because they see Americans as spending money on, we spend more money on cable service than they make in a year. 1 month of cable service, and these folks are probably working for 10, 15, 30 cents an hour. I don't have a problem with helping out a company. But when I actually have my situation, my issue escalated in the days of American customer service, you went up the hierarchy. You went from the frontline customer service person to customer service manager. Now we're being told that that is no longer an option. So you have to talk to someone who, quote unquote, is a supervisor, working the phones in the same house or the same, quote unquote, place of business. So because I was adamant about account, they gave me my money. I said I would wait a couple of days and then I would cancel. Once I got my money, I was going to do two things. A, I was going to cancel that credit card that was associated with PayPal, and I was going to close the PayPal account. I don't leave any stone unturned when it comes to my name, my money, and my credit. Within 48 hours, under 48 hours, they had rescinded the refund and recharged my card to $59.99. I called the bank. I canceled the credit card. I attempted to call them back and said, I need to close this card. You gave me a refund, and now you're rescinding the refund. This is what the problem to begin with. I need to have this escalated to someone in America. That's no longer an option. Okay, well, guess what? No more PayPal for me. So how do we get back at these companies? I know we don't have a lot of ways of purchasing things, but some options are to buy a prepaid card, and I usually don't deal with them, but I decided I was going to invest in a prepaid card and put just enough on there to cover things that I don't want to use regular credit cards on. That's one option. The other option is this. You may call it a little bit more aggressive, but if an American company can't offer you American customer service, then why are we patronizing them? I no longer deal with PayPal. The card, I was just canceling the card altogether. They talked me into getting another card with a different number and I say, okay, that's an option. As long as this balance is not transferred over to that. If you uphold all of the documentation and proof that I have. So I'm giving you this detailed account of what happened. And that was just one incident. Another one happened with Amazon. Bezos is no longer, it's no longer his company. I don't know if he's still a president or now one of those companies that has all of their customer service offshore in another company. I mean, in another country. When you ask to have the problem escalated, they want to give you a so-called manager or supervisor that's sitting there. So what happens when that supervisor handle the situation, your issue, your problem to your satisfaction, and you ask to have it kicked up to the next level? That is longer an hour to talk to someone in a. I won't go through all of the particulars of the Amazon thing because 90% of the time I didn't have a problem with the Amazon. It's just these idiots, they were treating my credit card like a debit card. So they put a hold for the price of the purchase on the card when the order was made. Then they put a secondary hold, which is charging the credit card a second time when the merchandise is shipped out. And when I called to them to explain this, they said, no, this is Raja. I'm in New Delhi. And what you need to do is you need to talk to your company. It's not my company. It's a credit card company. This is not a debit card. We just put that a hold on there and it will fall off in a week or so. So no, you don't hold my money for a week. So I take the call and then I call my credit card company and I told them what happened. I'm telling you all of this because there are power in numbers. If we as the American consumer refuse to deal with companies that exclusively with people who feel like, what's the big deal with 20, 30, 40, $50 when you spend so much money? I'm looking at your account and I say, you spend $400. What's the big deal? I don't care if it's 35 cents. It's my 35 cents. And the only reason I'm dealing with this company is because I was trying to buy American. So we have strength in numbers. If we come together and we start to write letters, if we start to refuse to deal with companies that exclusively handle customer service from abroad, then they have no choice. They're trying to increase their bottom line and increase their profit, and I don't have a problem with that. But not at my convenience, and certainly not at my expense, and absolutely not at the risk of me losing my name via identity theft or hurting my credit. So I'm gonna get out of here. I want to go and I want to see. At last glance, there was the 11th vote. Jeffries had 212 votes for Speaker of the House. Looked like Gates was the only one that voted for Trump. Now you're saying, how could someone who's not a member of Congress be Speaker of the House? There is a clause that says that anyone could be named or nominated as Speaker of the House. But they have to go through the approval process just like anyone else. So folks, this is the first show of the new year. Moving forward, I'm gonna get away from all of the political back and forth. It is what it is. I'm going to be doing a show on dating over 45 over 50, certainly over 50, and some of us are 60 and above. And I want to hear about some of the things that you've been dealing with and trying to find a mate. So some of you that are, you know, blessed enough to have someone that you can not only depend on but trust, you're truly blessed. To the others of us, dating ain't what it was in the 70s nor the 80s. So I want to deal with things that affect all of us. That's why I'm going to talk about things like credit. I'm going to talk about things like um, the responsibility of being a parent and a grandparent. And how do we make a difference in our community? How do we start holding people accountable when it's a Black community or a brown community is plagued with crime? But as soon as they put in a bike path and Becky and Todd move into the neighborhood, crime starts to go down, taxes start to go up, and the people that live in that neighborhood can no longer afford to live there. And suddenly that neighborhood is on the upswing and on the turnaround. And we see all of these new businesses. And what's crazy about them is they don't worry about getting out. Crazy about it is our children can't play in the street when it's a Black or brown neighborhood, or even some of these white neighborhoods. Because the thing about this, it's never been about color people. It's always been the haves and the have-nots. So when it's a have-not neighborhood, your children can't play for fear of being shot. Women can't walk from the bus stop a block and a half to their own house for fear of being accosted, assaulted. We can't walk our dogs for fear of being robbed or shot. Young brothers are put in a situation where all they could think about is how to get a dollar by any means necessary. And the only person that's hiring is Malik, the drug dealer, or someone by that name. So moving forward, letting you guys know what I'm thinking. And depending on the response that I get from you, is going to determine which show. For the last 3.5 years, this show has been dedicated 99% to politics. And we need to start talking about things that we can do on a more immediate basis. Instead of waiting for the 2024 election, which is only here. And the way we're going now, I'm not going to fall into that trap of talking what's happening with Republicans and what's happening with Sinema and Manchin needs to do it, and where's Pelosi now and this, that, and the other. No, I'm not going to do it. I want to talk about things that my audience wants to hear about. I want to talk about things that affect your lives, your children's lives, your grandchildren's lives, that affect your neighborhood on an immediate basis. So the places we live will not only be some place we can be, but it's a place where we can all flourish. Because the original Constitution said life, liberty, and the pursuit of property. Because property, owning something that That's financial freedom. Money can't buy happiness, but it's a big step in the right direction. You're a whole lot happier when the lights on. You're a whole lot happier when your kids can go to school without fear of getting hit out by a stray bullet or some idiots racing down the street and so forth and so on, and all of those things that affect each and every neighborhood. Moving into 2023, I'm passing the mantle from me, deciding week in, week out what we talk about to you and the things that you want to talk about. With that being said, I'm gonna say what I always say. Don't be so afraid to die that you forget to live for a purpose. Because the one thing about this game called life, nobody leaves alive. So make your life worth something. Make it mean something. So that when your children and your grandchildren talk about you, they're not just talking about the kind of car you drove, example that you set. And this is how we start bringing them up. I'll tell you guys 1,000 times about how I got into this. When I saw a black man running for the city of New Orleans, mayor of the city of New Orleans. And that was the first time that it had happened since Reconstruction after slavery. And it gave me a sense of hope. So, yeah, what we see unfolding now is the epitome. It's what I call, it is the manifestation of Trumpism. When all of these people are willing to do whatever just for power. So ain't no ghosts, ain't no Tariqs, ain't no Tommies. When these people fight, it's not with a 38 or a 357 or a 9mm or AK. They kill people with policy. And Dick Gregory said something one time. He says, you guys got it messed up that legal is right. Don't forget that slavery was legal. So don't forget, don't be so afraid to live for a purpose. Do me a favor, sign up, subscribe, ring the bell. I'm probably going to be taking the show to some other avenues because it looks like tonight I'm having problems with YouTube. It is what it is, people. It is what it is. And I'm good with it. These airways don't belong to you and I, but they should because we pay for them. We pay for them with government money. They trade these things on. I'm not going to get into the business side of it, but I have no control over these medias, be it social media or words that's coming out of my mouth. So go to my YouTube, sign up, hit subscribe, ring the bell, or with somebody else. You're gonna see me clowning on YouTube. You're gonna see me not on YouTube. You might see me clowning when I'm riding with my, my. That's when I'm listening to the music in my car and I'm in to tell you how the music made me feel when I heard a certain exchange, whatever. But this is the stuff. This is the stuff that needs to be passed on. Because this is how all of us become true to this, not new to this. So I will see you next week, right here. Same Baptiste time, same Baptiste place. And as always, my name is Hank Batiste. This is OMITdaLOGIC. Unfortunately, this shit don't make no sense. But the good thing is, every week you come back thirsty, and I can quench your thirst with a little knowledge, and we make it make sense. It's always important. I wish you love. I wish you like your man. Gray hair and hair grease. Good night, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Have a happy and prosperous. It's for you and for me. Let's make it work. I love you. Ain't a damn thing you can do about it. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I don't know what happened, YouTube. Where y'all at? I see some numbers up there, but I see no responses. I saw something saying my connection is unstable. And what kind of foolishness is this?